In this video, I will show you a game between two 1800s. They made a lot of mistakes that you can learn from, and let's start. The game started with the move knight to f3 with white, and black decided to play the move c5. He could have played a move like d5, but it's still the same thing. Knight f3, and now white decided to play the move g3, planning to fianchetto the bishop, castle the king, and have this setup when they can go for maybe c4 or d4 in the future. It's very common in Grandmaster level. It's been played a lot. And we have the move d5, taking control of the center, which is really nice. We have bishop g2 and knight to f6. Here, white decided to castle, and you can see that the king is very, very safe, and the position is nice. So if you are a beginner, you can go for this setup. You will never, ever lose in the opening phase. Okay, look, the king is very, very secure. The bishop will be very good in the future, especially after playing a move like c4. If he takes, then the bishop is sniper, and it will be very, very problematic for black. And the knight is developed, controlling some squares, stopping the move e5, and the king is completely safe. So this is a very beautiful setup if you are a beginner, if you keep on making mistakes in the opening phase. Now we have knight c6, developing and supporting the move e5, and now we have the move d3. d3 opens up for the bishop, maybe going to f4 or trying to go bishop g5 to attack the knight, and also planning to play a rook e1 and going for the move e4 and opening up the center. Now here it's very important to open up the center, and you might ask why. Well, it's because of this bishop. The bishop here is very, very bad because it's looking at a knight and looking at a pawn. So you want to open up the position so that and will be no pawns in the center, and the bishop will be very, very strong, right? So now black decided to play the move e5 because that's why he played knight c6 to support the push e5. White decided to get out with the bishop to g5, pinning the knight to the queen. I'm not sure if he wanted to take, because after maybe queen takes, it's not a problem, because whenever the knight moves, the bishop cannot win this pawn because black can push and gain more space, right? Now we have the move bishop e7. He plays this move because maybe he wants to get out with the queen, and he doesn't want to get his pawns doubled. So that's why he played this move, bishop e7, and he wants to castle his king as well. White here made a mistake, made a very big positional mistake, and he played bishop takes f6. And let me tell you something. Bishop is equal to a knight, so this is worth 3 points, and this is worth 3 points, but they're not the same. It depends on the position. Okay, you cannot trade a bishop for a knight in the opening phase unless you're going to win a pawn. Okay, so if takes and he takes and then you're going to win a pawn magically, then yes, that's justified. But if you're not going to win a pawn, then it's not good to trade a bishop for a knight in the opening phase, because what is the guarantee that in the middle game or the end game it's going to be like an open, it's going to be like a very, very closed position. You cannot really move, so the knight will be better. How do you know it's going to be that? You don't know. The knight will be better in closed positions because the bishops will be very bad. A lot of pawns will be in the center, and the bishop will be very, very bad, right? And the knight can maneuver all the way like this, so the knights are tricky. That's why the knights are better in closed positions in which a lot of pawns in the center. But you don't trade based on that concept right from the opening phase, because the game might, these pawns might disappear, and you can see that the bishops are really strong, but you already gave away one of your bishops, and now he has two strong bishops. Okay, hopefully you understood this. It's really, really important, because if you're not sure how the game is going to end up and how the position is going to end up, don't trade a bishop for a knight. Okay, unless you want to take a knight, unless you want to take a bishop with your knight, then that's going to be a good thing. Okay, now bishop takes, and white decided to go for the move e4. So the entire point of this here, bishop takes this, he just wanted to play e4. And if he wanted to play e4, he takes, and he loses a pawn. That's why he wanted to take the knight, and after that he wanted to play e4. But e4 is not a good move. Why? Because he's not forced to take. White wants black to take, and after pawn takes, There will be a trade of queens, and the rook will be on an open file. This bishop will be garbage because it's looking at a pawn. The knight will be developed, and white will be very happy. But of course, your opponent will not give you what you want. Will give you exactly what you hate, which is a move like d4. And now you can see that this pawn is really, really good, really strong. And there are two pawns supporting the pawn, and also the knight, and also the bishop, and also the queen. So this pawn is very strong, and you have a problem. Your position will be stuck forever just because of a move like e4. Don't go for a move hoping your opponent will take. That's hope chess. Hope chess does not work. Okay, you have to play in a good way. So maybe you could have played, c3, because when you want to go there, you want to take and open up some blinds. The most important thing, don't allow your opponent to take more control of squares, especially in your own territory. So after like e4, pawn push, your opponent has control over two squares, and it's in your own territory, right? That's not a good thing. We have knight d2, developing the knight. It's a good move, trying to maybe go knight c4, trying to add some pressure on this pawn. It is a good move. Or maybe we're trying to play knight b3, attacking this pawn. And now we have bishop here, bishop to e6. Now this is a very good move. Why? Because if white decided to play knight c4, the bishop can take. And after pawn takes, it's a really good positional move, bishop e6. Because whenever you put a knight there and bishop takes, pawn takes, first of all, white will have double pawns. And this will become, the process of pushing the pawn will become easier, right? So there might be a chance of creating a passed pawn if white went here and bishop takes and pawn takes. So that's a good move, positional move. And always cover squares that your opponent wants. So let's say you're playing with the black pieces, you play this move to cover up that square and try to double up your opponent's pawns. Always play developing moves first, and also cover squares that your opponent can occupy, and also can make a weakness in your opponent's territory. So this move is 10 out of 10. Well, we have this move a4. Maybe he didn't like black to expand more. I mean, black is already expanding with a lot of squares being controlled. White decided, you know what, I'm not going to give you more control. It's going to play a4 to stop the move b5, but black can easily play a6 and go for some kind of an attack on this side and castle his king. Black castled the king, and now we have rook to e1. Rook to e1, I mean, yes, it makes sense. You're just putting the rook on. I mean, at least don't put a rook, in front of a pawn. Just put it there. Maybe lawns can open up. Maybe if the knight moves somewhere, we might have f4, and after pawn takes, this pawn can be pushed, and the rook will be supporting. So yeah, it is a good move, because you always hear a move like, yes, move the rooks from the positional square, and yeah. So now we have queen to b6, attacking this pawn on b2. I don't think it's really difficult to spot a move like b3. You just want to defend the pawn by pushing it. Never ever do something like this or this, trying to defend a pawn. Never defend a peasant with an entire piece, okay? Especially not with a rook. So always push the pawn, and always help pushing and defending the pawns with another pawn. So only keep the weakest pawn down there so you can easily defend it, and it will not be easily attacked as well. Now we have the move h6. Whenever you see your opponent makes a move like this, you should know your opponent is lost. Your opponent is lost. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to do with his dame rooks. The rooks are supposed to be on open files. And if there's no open file, make an open file. Yes, move the queen back. Try to push, try to open up lines, because the rooks will be better on open files. But he played this move. He was like, okay, I'm going to give white the chance to play because I don't know what to do. And this is very common. And it's very normal to not to know what to do. Don't push a pawn, okay? And the most important thing, don't push a pawn in front of your king. So that's not a good move. Even though the engine might say, well, it's okay and stuff like that. But you want to go for control of the pieces, okay? You want to control more squares. You want to develop your pieces to better squares. So this knight could be better off here. It can never be attacked, and the knight is taking more control, adding pressure to the pawns. That might be a good move. Moving the queen back, trying to go for some kind of counterplay on this side and open up for the rooks, that's a plan. But this has no plan. The knight can never go there. and because the bishop is already covering that square. So there's no need to play a move like h6. This move is a time waster, and if your opponent played a move like this, you should know your opponent is lost and you have to do something about it. You have to make use of it in some way and try to um, target a weakness, try to be more active with your pieces maybe. Um, like here, maybe I would move the king, get the knight back, and try to go for f4. We need to open up lines because this bishop is garbage, right? You want activity. You want activity. Your opponent is not looking for activity. He's just looking for, you know what, let him move. White decided to go knight c4. In this move, I couldn't emphasize more that it's a terrible, terrible move. Why, you might say? Well, a better move could be moving the knight here, and getting the other knight there, so that when you put a knight on c4 and he takes it, you can take with another knight. This square is beautiful only if you have a knight to stay there. When you put a knight there, I mean, you 100% know that your opponent is going to take the knight, right? And you're going to have double pawns. So why would you play it, knowing that your opponent will actually take and you will have double pawns? Now, the only justification for white that, oh, after I take back, at least I will have a rook active and I will attack his queen. Yeah, that's not a really powerful plan because, first of all, you double up your pawns. That's a first. Second of all, this pawn is weak because it's an isolated pawn, cannot be defended by another pawn, and he will put all of his pieces targeting that pawn, right? So don't go for a simple plan like, okay, yes, I accept double pawns. I will accept that I'm paralyzed. I cannot move a single piece to a good square just to attack his queen. Never do that. A better move could be knight here, and knight to d2, so that when you put a knight there to attack his queen, for example, and he takes you, you can always take with a knight, and you have a very beautiful knight attacking more squares and controlling more squares. Okay, so after this, takes, and we have after this, um, pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes bishop. Black made the dumbest move I've ever seen in my entire life. Now this is an 1800 Elo chess player played this move. Rook to b8. What the actual f? What is this? What is this? There's no I mean, there's a pawn here. Okay, this pawn is not gone, and it will not be gone anytime sooner. So doubling up here doesn't do anything. Nothing. And also, rook here, you're putting it in front of a pawn. If it was an open file, I would love this move. Like white will play like maybe rook b1. You're putting the rook at least on an open file. That's a smart move. But here, this is not an open file. There's a pawn here, and it's your pawn. It's not clear if it's gonna be removed anytime sooner. And that's number one. Number two, this rook is absolutely garbage. The rook cannot move. You have to waste time. You have to waste time moving the rook to get the other rook out. So this move was a complete disaster. You don't want to make moves that slows you down. You want moves that keeps you pushing. Move the queen. Get 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 something open. Because if you have two rooks controlling the open files and you have a very good knight there on b4, wow, that's a beautiful position for black. Because white cannot do anything on this side. The position here is stuck. Stuck. 100%. The knight here will be super strong. The rooks will be opened up, so I would love a queen there and pushing up. But you have this very silly move, rook b8. Never put a rook behind a pawn. Ever. Now we have queen e2. This move was a complete disaster as well. White doesn't know what to do. He was like, okay, let me move the queen so that I can get the rook there to attack the queen. It's not a terrible move. It's not a terrible plan. It is a plan, and a plan is better than nothing. Now, the queen moved here because black was like, okay, he wants to play rook b1 to attack my queen. Not gonna happen. Let me move my queen. So even if white played rook b1, the queen will not be attacked. And white decided to play rook b1, and black decided to play queen to c3. This move is a disaster. It doesn't win on the spot. It doesn't win on the spot. No, it does not win. But it's a disaster. I mean, you have to kick away the queen back. You have to get the queen back. You're wasting time with a move like rook b8 and queen here. What is the queen going to do here? The queen here cannot do anything because this pawn is already defended. Uh, and white has All it takes to defend the damn pawn. This pawn is not winnable, no matter what. Putting this here, it's a complete disaster because the queen might be trapped. The queen might be trapped. For example, like queen here to defend the pawn and trying now to get the rook here, it will be very problematic. For example, if queen here, maybe black decided to make maybe a reasonable move. For example, I don't know. Let's say you want to expand on this side because the queen cannot maybe do anything here because the king always protect the pawn. White will have a rook b3. The queen cannot take. The queen needs to go back, and then you'll have another move like this. The queen needs to go back, and all of a sudden a pawn is lost. That's why it's not a good move to do such move like queen here, especially if you're not going to win a pawn. This move does not win the pawn. Even if black decided to play knight b4, this pawn is not winnable. The rook can go here, the queen can go back, the knight can go here. Everything can defend this pawn. Now we have bishop to h3 because white was like, this bishop is garbage. Looking at a knight, looking at a pawn, let me put it on a better diagonal. This diagonal is also garbage because what are you covering really? What are you covering? This is a waste of time, exactly like how rook here it's a waste of time, exactly how queen here is a waste of time. At this level, everybody is wasting time and trying to win on time. That's not how you're supposed to play chess. You have to think about ways to attack your opponent, to punish your opponent's mistakes. This is a mistake. Why? Because the queen might be trapped. The queen might be trapped. Or, as I showed you, you can win a pawn by defending this pawn and defending the other rook. So defending the other rook by the queen so that you can play this, and after he goes there, you can attack it one more time and win a pawn in the process. That's how you punish your opponent's mistakes. Always think, oh, that might be a blunder. Let me try to trap the queen in some way. If you play this right away, you lose the rook. That's not good. Okay, so now we have bishop h3 and knight to b4, attacking this pawn twice. The knight can go back here, and black will be in very, very, very big trouble. Because after this, there might be a lot of ways for the queen can go back, and queen will be trapped. And this pawn cannot be won because it's protected twice, attacked twice. That's not a good thing for black. But, as you can see, white did exactly what he was not supposed to do. Put a rook in front of a pawn. That's not good. That's not good. Don't put a rook behind an effing pawn. Never do that. Never protect a stupid pawn, a value 1, defend it with a beast value 5. That's horrible. If you want to defend the pawn, defend it with a knight. That's worth 3 points. Defend with a knight because it's already attacked by a knight. So it's completely equal pieces defending and attacking each other, right? But defending with a rook, that's horrific. We have this move rook c1, and now black decided to play a6, and after the move a6, okay, now white decided to play queen d2, which is a horrific move because at this level, people only calculate like a move or two in the future, and that's why they don't improve. Don't calculate 1 or 2 moves in the future. Calculate 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Always try to improve your calculation. Who can see the future always wins in chess. After queen takes, knight takes, what could be a move that can win a pawn? For black, it is bishop there. White cannot play this because if the pawn takes, bishop takes, it's still attacking the knight. If the knight moved, black would win the rook. And if the rook defended the knight, this pawn is lost. That's how you can win a chess. You have to improve your calculations. That's how you are supposed to play chess. Always practice calculation, always practice tactics, and put them at the hardest level, and never try to make some moves to try to win the position. No, deeply calculate. After queen takes, knight takes, bishop here. The knight moves, the rook will go away. If the rook defends, the knight will win a pawn attacking the rook. If after queen takes, knight takes, and bishop here, this move is not possible because if the pawn takes, bishop takes, black just won a pawn, and he will win another pawn here on c2. Calculate before you make a move. Deeply calculate, not just like, okay, queen takes, knight takes, and, nothing, and then nothing will happen. Maybe black will do something like this or like this. No. Think about all the options that can punish your move. like this. So black took, knight takes, and black found the move bishop g5. Here it's not possible because it loses a pawn, and the knight is being attacked. If the knight moved, black will win the rook. If the rook went here, black will win a pawn. All of this happened because of a simple, actually a horrific move like queen d2, not calculating how to punish your opponent's mistake. The queen here, you can see it, is trapped. The queen is trapped. The queen cannot move anywhere unless he wants to go there, which is a completely dumb move, actually. It's not going anywhere, right? So maybe you can figure out a way to trap it, right? And the best move was to go here and get the rook there to attack the queen and trap it in some way, or get the queen back to defend the rook, then trap it. This move is this queen is trappable, right? But when you offer a trade, you're helping your opponent. This was a liability because the knight, he will waste a lot of moves to try to escape back, not to get trapped. You gave him the solution. You gave him the escape. That's not how you're supposed to play chess. So after this, black won the pawn, rook here. When you attack a piece, attack it in a smart way. This will attack the knight. Yes, it will go back to the original square, and now you're going to lose another pawn. At least go there. At least try, because when he goes there, you can go here to defend the pawn at least, right? This move here, and now I think white was capable of going here, maybe. Takes here. I think it will still be okay to try to defend this pawn if he played rook to a3, but he was like, nope, we're gonna go rook to b2 and lose another pawn. And when you're down one pawn, that's really bad. But when you lose two pawns, you're completely cooked. White decided to play rook to b6. That's not a smart move because your opponent is not going to allow you to double up, because you cannot double up. You will lose the knight. That's number one. Number two, the knight can go back here and the rook will be trapped. That's a lot of moves being missed by white. After this move, the only square is to go here, rook d6, and the rook might be trapped. Knight here trying to attack this pawn, bishop there to defend it, and now we can see f4. This move was supposed to be played way before, but now it's useless. After you lost two pawns, it's completely useless. You cannot do anything. Knight goes back. Okay. And now we see bishop here trying to attack this. And now, I mean, for now, you can see that black is completely winning this game, and black is completely, crushing white. At this position, black, with having 2 minutes and 58 seconds, played knight to a5. Knight to a5, it's a complete blunder of a dame piece. But actually, it's not a horrific move. Black lost his advantage, yes. Black lost the advantage. Black was winning. But after this move, and after knight takes, black has the opportunity to play here. Black has the opportunity to play bishop to d8. After rook takes here, black can take this bishop, and after some kind of a trade, it still might be equal, and it still might be a draw. And black needed to play this, because the rook cannot defend the knight. And if takes here, of course, black is not supposed to take, because the knight will take. So just a simple bishop takes here, this, and being up one pawn, especially in a, different bishops, like a light square bishop and a dark square bishop, it might end up in a draw, right? So at least black had a chance to draw after bishop there, and I don't know how he did not see that. Yeah, that was very bad. He did not play that move. Actually, he made a horrific move trying, oh my god, my pawn. I need to defend the pawn. I need to defend this stupid ass pawn by the most important pieces that I have. 10 points of material to defend a stupid pawn. Are you kidding me? Black was supposed to play this, attack the rook, attack the knight, win a piece, and get a draw after he was completely winning. But he played this move, and he resigned. Black resigned after this move because it's completely reasonable that white can play knight c6. You cannot take, you will lose the rook. You cannot attack because you will lose, and this is completely crushing, and This is it. This is lost. After bishop there, knight takes, rook takes, and the bishop can go all the way back. Rook here will be on the board. We're trying to win this pawn. This pawn cannot make a queen. No way, because the rooks are, can defend the back rank, and it could be like it will be winning for white. After it was winning for black, black just missed it. Black here at this position crumbled, made a horrific mistake of just going the knight there, which is not a good move. Not a good move. It's just completely free piece. Even though it was still a dame draw, he needed to find bishop to d8 to attack the rook and attack the knight. Now, don't tell me it's a very mysterious move. It's a really easy move to find, especially when you have 2 minutes and 51 seconds on the clock. This move is findable. Okay, this move is findable, and time, like if he only had 2 seconds, yes, everyone will make a lot of mistakes. People will make blunder their queen, their rooks, and all their pieces if they have 2 seconds on the clock. But black has 2 minutes 51 seconds. He can find this move to attack the rook and attack the knight. But after that, he played this, and at this level he resigned. At this position he resigned because after this he will lose, and he will lose one of the rooks, and he resigned here. But I decided to continue it, like maybe trying to attack this, but after takes, and the bishop goes back. This is a completely winning position for white. Even a better move is to go bishop here to always monitor that square on d1, the square that could be problematic, especially after this pawn might be pushed. So yeah, bishop here could be better, so that you can attack that pawn and being happy that you always have a bishop to cover that square and get the king closer. Hopefully this video was helpful for you. Of course it was helpful. I put my heart and soul into this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in another video.